Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to try out the Gardevoir deck that Henry Chao used to take down the Baltimore Regional Championships. Now this is a much different take on Gardevoir. It's a much more turbo list. We have 2 research, 2 rare candy, and secret box is going to be our A spec. Now secret box of course lets us search our deck for one of each type of trainer, being a supporter, an item, a tool, and a stadium. So this is going to help us to get off the turn 2 Candy Gardevoir into most likely an attack with just Garde EX. I doubt turn 2 we're going to be doing big Drifloon attacks with this version, because I did have to cut the 3rd vessel for a Manaphy. Palkia is much more popular now, so Greninja is a much bigger threat. So I wanted to have a Manaphy in here for this newer format. I didn't end up running into any Palkia, but I've been playing against a lot on the ladder, so I just wanted to have it to be safe. We also have a Pal Pad in here, which we weren't playing Gardevoir before. It lets us, get a second boss. We are going to be going faster, so we're going to want boss instead of counter catcher more often. And we also have a Night Stretcher. We are kind of thin on the Pokemon attacker line, so we have the Night Stretcher and the 2 Super Rod to get Pokemon back, and Greninja and Fezandipiti to supplement our card draw. So we can get away with not having the most amount of Kirlias in play and still getting through our deck pretty quickly. We also only have 1 Munkidori and 1 Dark in this deck, because that's really all we're going to need to knock out the Charizards with Drifloon and things like that. But that is the list, and let's get into the games. Alright, this game we are up against Lugia, and I have a pretty good start. I was getting kind of unlucky with the starts a lot in this deck, but this one turned out pretty solid. Fortunately, prized a Ralts, it looks like. There is a heavy ball in this list though, so we can go ahead and grab that. I can also pop in for the Drifloon already, and probably Klefki to throw in the active to try and slow down this Lugia player. I'd really rather not Iono them right now, but our hand sucks, so I kind of have to. I'm looking at the Manaphy here too, because I'm not too sure if I should expect the Water Ogre Pond in people's Lugia decks right now. They are playing a Mew, so they really could be playing anything. I just Iono and retreat to the Klefki just to try and slow them down a little bit. It's kind of unfortunate that I filled my bench though, because I do draw into the Radiant Greninja and a Psychic Energy, and they just end up reading the wind. I'm gonna have, I don't know, I can pretty much assume that they had an out to a Lumineon in their hand. I would have to guess that if the Klefki wasn't in the active, they would have got going. But it does kind of feel bad knowing that if I didn't put the Klefki down and they did just read the wind, I probably could have knocked him out if I was able to use the Greninja. But then the game would be too boring to post, so you probably wouldn't be seeing it anyway. Alright, this turn is a little bit awkward here. I Arven for Ultra Ball and TM Evo. I'm trying to think if there's any way that I can get into a Gardevoir and start attacking, but there really is no way, and I spent probably way too long thinking about it. So I'm just going to end up Ultra Balling for a Kirlia and trading away the Nest Ball. I probably could just trade away the Rare Candy, but I'm still holding out hopes that I get some magical combination of cards that allows me to attack, which I don't. Glad that I didn't trade away the Psychic Energy though. That would have been unfortunate if I couldn't use the TM Evo. And I just evolve up my other 2 Kirlia. Now, I think they have 2 Archeops in the discard pile now, so I would expect that they can start attacking with their 8 card hand, and a Mesa goes ahead, so they can almost certainly start attacking. And they grab their Iron Hands, which is always unfortunate, and they just have the Legacy Energy in hand. Now, this is what I've been wondering, if the headquarters would just be better as a temple. A temple or an artisan are the 2 that I've been thinking, and I don't know. The temple would definitely help out in this situation. I'd just be able to knock out this Iron Hands for 2 prizes. But with the Legacy Energy, I kind of can't do that. I need to hit into it with Gardevoir and move damage to it over 2 turns with the Munkidori. which is definitely a play that can backfire if like they're able to boss or jet up the Minccino and knock out my Gardevoir EX, which oftentimes does end up happening. That's why the Enhanced Hammer or Temple of Sinnoh was so good in this deck. But luckily I do get everything that I need to attach the Dark to the Munkidori and attack with my Gardevoir EX. I do almost mess it up for some reason, thinking that I don't know, I almost hand attached to my EX here. Then I remembered, oh, I need to trade away one of the Psychics so that I can accelerate 3 with the Gardevoir EX. Now this is definitely not my favorite play to have to do, but sometimes with the list built like this, it is just what you have no choice but to do. Luckily they have 3 2-prizers on their board though, so I can knock out this Iron Hands next turn and either the Mew or the Lugia V-Star, and then knock out whichever one I leave in play on the turn after that. I am gonna need to probably Iono them as well. They flip a Messagoza heads. I think that they're just kind of thinning out their deck. Grabbing another Archeops out of the decks in case they're pretty much preparing for when I Iono them. That is pretty smart. They did have the Jet Energy though. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't jet up the Minccino and just knock out my Gardevoir. I guess that would leave me a little more draw, so maybe they didn't want to do that. Now this turn is, I don't know, I kind of end up ordering it pretty weird. I am looking for Counter Catcher, I think. I can't remember what. I'm trying to do some like really weird sequence of plays here, not remembering how much damage Screamtail does, so I kind of mess this all up. Like I move only 1 damage counter over with the Munkidori, thinking that I could Turo up my Munkidori, rescue Stretcher or Night Stretcher the Dark Energy back, move the 20 to the Lugia, and then knock it out with Cinccino. But all I had to do here was knock out the Iron Hands, and then when they send up the Lugia V-Star, I just retreat my Gardevoir EX, accelerate 5 energies to my Drifloon, Turo up my Gardevoir, and rebench the Ralts, and then knock out the Lugia V-Star. I way overcomplicated this turn. I did not need to do all this. It's kind of a massive mistake, because if I did what I just said, I would have no way of losing. But this play gives my opponent a way to win. If they draw a boss, or pretty much just any out to Lumineon, they win the game off this Iono. And all I had to do was Turo my Guardy, rebench the Ralts, because there is still a Rare Candy in my deck, so even if they knocked out my Kirlia, well, if they knocked out the Kirlia, they would have left the Drifloon around, so it doesn't matter anyway. And then all I would have to find is a Gust effect for the Mew. But I do end up bringing up the Mew this turn and knocking it out to decrease the odds that they find boss, because they could probably draw like a few extra cards off of their Mew EX. So I messed up that turn pretty bad, kind of awkward. I don't know. That's just a bad play. That's like a pretty key play in Garde too, and I played like quite a good amount of Garde, that like Turoing up the EX to deny your opponent the final 2 prizes. But luckily they flip heads on the Capturing Aroma, so I kind of get bailed out there. And now I just need to be able to get back my Drifloon and get a Bravery Charm and knock out the Lugia. I don't know. I was like only half paying attention to this game because I messed up this turn pretty bad too. I was like kind of convinced in my head that there was a way to knock out Lugia with Screamtail with a Bravery Charm, but I'm pretty sure there's not. I would have to like I would have to have 2 Munkidori uses to put the Screamtail on odd numbers to bring it up to 130 damage, and then Munkidori 20 off my Gardevoir, and then Screamtail for the 260, but I do end up getting into the Nest Ball, so then I can just secret box for the other piece. That's why I didn't secret box first. I wanted to see if I could draw either the Super Rod or the Nest Ball or Ultra Ball, and then I grab the piece that I don't have with the secret box and get the Drifloon and boss up the Lugia and knock it out. So I do end up winning, even though, I don't know, I was like pretty convinced I could knock out the Lugia with the Screamtail, but I can't, which is one of the reasons I really like the Luxurious Cape. It gives you a lot more leeway at the end of the game. But yeah, do end up winning that game and on to the next game. Alright, the second game we are up against Ancient Box, I believe. I just heavy balled, that's all I did before the game started. Played the heavy ball, looked at my prizes. I could either grab Fezandipiti or Ralts, so I grabbed the Ralts and I benched the Screamtail, and then I decided to Ultra Ball for Greninja. I wasn't originally going to do that, but I wanted to draw some cards and just see if I could get into anything. But since I did that, I probably shouldn't have also benched the Screamtail. I just wanted like a bundle target and then decided to get Greninja and start drawing. This was a terrible starting hand, and I don't know, I don't think Garde is unfavored against Ancient Box. I think it's pretty close or slightly favored for Garde. I don't know how many people feel that way, but I don't know how many, if I've ever lost against Ancient Box with Garde. Maybe like a couple times if they draw really nuts, but normally you can win it, like catch back up at the end of the game pretty consistently. So I top deck a Nest Ball, grab my Ralts, and pass again. And I'm hoping that they cannot start attacking. I would like at least one more turn to try and draw out of this. And they do use the Explorers, which I think gives me pretty good odds of not being knocked out this turn. They would need like Dark Patch, Dark Energy, and Stadium to start attacking. And really just one more turn would be nice. If I could draw anything like a Research, then get into another Candy Guardian and start attacking. I don't know, I probably want to wait till they attack though. This is definitely a matchup where we want to be behind in prizes until the end of the game, because we don't want them to be able to counter catcher up our Gardevoir EX. That would be very unfortunate, and that is how they end up winning. I top decked the TM Evo, so I decide to just spin the Pokestop, see if I can get into a Vessel. If I could get into a Vessel, then I could evolve to Kirlia and probably draw out of this next turn. And now I think I just have to Ultra Ball for Kirlia and just basically get rid of the whole hand. This kind of stuff always feels bad, but I really have no choice in this situation. I have to start playing the game, and it does end up being worth it. I get into a Research, and I'm just thinking about what to Vessel away here. It's probably just going to be Iono. I need both these counter catchers more than likely to win the game. And Iono, I should have 3 more in the deck, or 2 more in the deck and the 1 in my hand. So yeah. So I just play a Vessel and then play the other Vessel, and then Greninja away a Psychic. And I don't get in. I was hoping to get into another Kirlia, but I don't, which is generally fine. I don't really need to attach the Bravery Charm here. The Munkidori is weak to Dark anyway, so there's no point. I probably could have attached the Dark Energy to the Monkey, maybe. I don't know, I could probably save that for extra Greninja use at the end of the game. And now they are going to be able to start attacking, but that is kind of perfect timing because I should almost definitely be able to attack next turn as well. They Ultra Ball away double Vessel, which is kind of interesting. It makes me wonder if they like prized a lot of energy or something. So this next turn, I'm going to do kind of the play that I think almost always ends up winning you this game, is just counter catcher the Greninja and Screamtail the bench. Usually if you can do this 2 turns in a row, and also Iono, so counter catcher Greninja, Iono, and Screamtail the Roaring Moon with 2 energy. And normally I wait a little bit later in the game to start doing this, but I don't know, it seems fine right now. I have the counter catchers in my hand. It should definitely work out. And often if you can do this either at the end of the game when they don't have multiple moons set up or 2 turns in a row, it'll make it so they have to use their hand attachments on their Greninja, and they won't be able to have a backup Roaring Moon with 2 energy on it. And then at some point you can bring up the Greninja again and knock out the only moon with energies on it, and that makes it really hard for them to attack because they can't Sada to Greninja to retreat, and they need to Sada to a moon and attach to it. Hopefully I explained that alright. I feel like I was kind of stumbling over my words a little bit more than I would like to, but yeah, it's usually a pretty solid play and is why I think that this matchup is kind of favored. Garde can pull it off basically every game. And luckily I do get into the Gardevoir. I think I was down both of my, definitely down both the Ultra Ball there from those early awkward hands where I had to just Ultra Ball everything away. So I needed to draw into the Gardevoir, which I think I had pretty good odds because there's only 13 cards in my deck already. Yeah, just Roaring Scream on the Roaring Moon with the 2 energy. And I expect them to be able to attack this turn, but I'm hoping to be able to do the same play next turn, and then that's how I'm hoping to get ahead in the prize trade. But I don't know, they end up playing this out kind of weird. It ends up being kind of an interesting game, I guess. Yeah, so they Vessel, which, like I said earlier, I was thinking they were out of energy because they just Ultra Balled away double Vessel, and like they definitely didn't need to do any more damage. So they do end up Vesseling for Double Dark, Pokegear for a boss, which at this point I'm thinking, oh cool, they whiff Sada. I probably bought myself a turn right away. But I think they play like 2 or 3 Dark Patches in this deck, so they just Dark Patch. I kind of expected Dark Patch when I saw the Roaring Moon EX, but I don't know. I was hoping for the best, I guess. So now they are going to get into, take 2 prizes and get pretty far ahead on the prize trade. But as long as I can keep doing that play of Counter Catcher and Iono, there is even a chance that they have to bench multiple 2 prize Pokemon, and that would allow us to get back into the game. Because like this turn, I don't even need to put a 2 prizer in play. I already have my Pokemon I want to attack with set up. I'm just deciding what to Super Rod. I was thinking about Super Rodding the Munkidori back in, but I really don't need it in this matchup. There's not enough turns for me to take an extra prize off of moving damage with the Munkidori, so it doesn't matter anyway. I am going to use the Secret Box here for Counter Catcher. I don't know how I feel about that. It sucks like having to burn it for that. And I probably had pretty good odds of drawing the Counter Catcher itself off of the Iono. Here I'm just debating if I want to put the Arven on the bottom of my deck or not. And I decide not to because I might want to get like Super Rod or something to get back like my Screamtail. I Greninja with the energy and end up finding another Kirlia, which is nice. That's why I put the Kirlias back in. I don't trade again. There's only 5 cards left in my deck, and this is my last Iono. I don't really want to run out of cards. I have everything I need. Pretty much good to go. So my opponent needs to find either their Petron or another Dark Patch in Dark Energy. They grab an energy with their Night Stretcher, and they're down to 4 cards in deck. And the Iono forced them to use the Pokestop, which is, I don't know, they're like running super low on cards. They only have 1 card left in their deck. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to send up the Drifloon, I'll evolve to my Garde EX, trade through my deck. I know I have Super Odds and a Turo, and I'm just going to pick the Turo or use Turo to pick up my Garde EX to see if they have any way to make the game go on any longer. They're down quite a few resources, and if they don't have another Pal Pad or Super Rod, I just win the game by passing the turn after this one. Now here I'm just looking through my discard. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's taking me so long to trade. I have the Super Rod, and I just need to do the play that I said. And Turo up my Gardevoir. I don't know if they have another boss or not, but they got really far ahead in this game, and even with the 2 prizer in play, we wouldn't be able to win. So if the game could continue next turn, I'm not very sure if I even would end up winning this one, just because of that boss onto my EX, which they often don't normally get. And they do end up conceding as soon as I Turo up my Gardevoir. And yeah, that was, I think, a good example of what you want to do in the Ancient Box matchup as Gardevoir, but it didn't play out how it normally does. It's normally quite hard for Ancient Box to boss up in EX that early in the game because they need to Sada every turn, and that can end up being rough, but we gave them so many turns at the beginning of the game that they ended up being able to get the playoff. And they were just 1 turn ahead of us there at the end of the game, even with the Petra in play, which is kind of unfortunate, but with all the pressure that we put on, they had to burn through their deck a lot more than I think they would have liked to find, you know, the Petra when they needed it and all the cards to keep going. But so yeah, I've won every game that I've played with this Garde deck, so it seems like it's pretty solid right now. I've kind of always been a Garde believer, even, like, I know everyone thought it was bad. It's always seemed good whenever I played it. Yeah, and this list is super interesting, so definitely check it out for yourselves. It is a little bit clunky for sure, which is kind of weird because it seems like it should be less clunky, but maybe I was just getting the bad side of RNG. Yeah, like or dislike, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.